Live from the sun-kissed island of Kauai, it's Animal Talking. Today, join Gary and his guests, Colin Trevorrow, and from Guster, Ryan Miller. And now, because he's created a monster he can no longer control, here's your host, Gary Whitta.
How are you, sir? How was your week?
I barely know what day it is most of the time.
I mean, none of us do in this quarantine, but especially with this show. I mean, I don't know which end is up these days. This show is blown up. AOC actually tweeted back at me. And here's the tweet right here. I tweeted at her, you should come be a guest on my talk show. And she responded, this is funny and bizarre enough to be very compelling to me, which actually that's how we get most of the guests on the show. Myself and my good friend Greg Miller got to do something that I certainly have always wanted to do, and I know Greg always wanted to do. We got to write a Batman comic, a real one, for DC Comics, like a real one that will be in the comic book stores.
This has been a dream of mine since I was a young child, so I'm ready to scoot down the couch later and make pithy comments with the second guest. Everything.
Have you been on a quote unquote real late night talk show?
No, and I've wanted to do it so bad that I've made requests to go on smaller morning shows. I did a cooking segment on a show, and
what did you cook?
It was some kind of chopped salad, and I was really committed to it. I did it without an ounce of irony. It was just on my bucket list.
And congratulations, by the way, for getting on the show before AOC does it and the show becomes so big that it's no longer cool.
Right, before you have a real VIP on.
Now listen, Colin, I've got a lot I want to talk to you about your career. I want to talk to you about Jurassic World and all kinds of stuff. But first of all, we must address the elephant in the room. There's a big elephant in the room, and I feel like, a lot of people in the chat are going to want to talk about it. Let's just get that out of the way. Here is the elephant in the room. We just added it to the set. It's really cool. I don't know if it's going to have much functionality on the set.
Our life was so strange because my family moved from Vermont. We were staying in this tiny little cottage, and at the moment that movie was the biggest opening weekend of all time. And right. we had this 3-room cottage, and we had moved all the furniture out, and my daughter was eating her lunch on a cardboard box. And I remember just looking at my wife, well, I'm sure people think we're on a boat, but this is the opening weekend of Jurassic World, sitting on these cardboard boxes. I was there when Gareth shot Darth Vader.
Oh my God, you lucky bastard.
I was standing 10 feet away from it. I feel like there's got to be a take where you hear me what is life? In the background. I did have this sense because I had to kind of keep it cool. Because yes, I like what you've done here. Of course, yes, good. But when I saw those sets, of course, I was like, oh my God! I feel so much more comfortable talking as an avatar than I do as a human, and I've realized that.
That's how we're going to get the straight dope out of you. You don't realize that you're actually on a talk show. The Jurassic fans, they seem like a really nice bunch of people.
I don't know all of them personally, but I feel like I do at this point. You have Jurassic Park fans who grew up on that, and then, they all acknowledge that, that Jurassic World had a responsibility to reach out to a new generation of fans, and the things that the franchise has done in order to do that doesn't always jive with the core tenets every time out of the Jurassic Park movies. But I found our fans to be really understanding of just that fundamental idea that there's a new generation of kids who get to have their own set of Jurassic movies,
right.
And they're not looking to infringe on that experience. I remember when I was a kid, there was a coffee shop, and I went in there right after Return of the Jedi came out, and I was pretty fired up about it. Obviously, I was probably 6. The barista, made some shitty comment about the Ewoks, and I had no idea that there was any problem with the Ewoks. I had no idea.
I love them. I still defend Return of the Jedi.
I didn't know, but I remember at that time it was just bro. You may have your issue, but please don't pollute my perfect relationship with Return of the Jedi with the way you see it being a 27-year-old proto-hipster.
I knew I liked you, Colin.
No matter what your job is, things are not always going to go the way you want them to go. And sometimes everyone, and even just in life, you're going to get slammed into the surf and get a mouthful of sand, and then you might get back up and get slammed into the surf again.
Right.
What defines you is how many times you keep getting back up.
We joked around at the top of the show about the elephant in the room, but I do want to get serious for a moment. We do have to address, I think, the movie that did actually just come out this past Christmas. Obviously, it was very controversial. It totally split the fan base. Everyone's been asking me on Twitter ever since it came out, what do you think of the movie? What do you think of the movie? I know that people have been curious to know what you think about it. I'm curious to know if we agree. So, Colin, Trevorrow, I have to ask you, what did you think of Cats?
So I cheer the big swing, even if it didn't go the way people might have wanted.
Ladoodle Mime in the chat says, if you cringe at your past, it means you have grown. I think that's quite wise.
Tell me what kind of projects to call you back on, because it's been great talking to you. I would love for us to work together. Tell me what you're interested in. And this is actually for anybody who, is getting started in the industry or wants to get started in the industry. When they ask you that question, don't say anything, even though the real answer is probably anything. You have to say something specific, because the person that you're in the meeting with is not going to remember that you said that you were interested in everything, because that's not memorable.
Right.
So just say something very specific. And the very specific thing I said is like any movie where people are sort of shooting lasers at each other and cracking wise in space. Sometimes, if you want to reboot a property and make it seem like fresh, and maybe make it seem like maybe the original is like hokey, and you want it to seem like a little more like I don't know, a little dressed up, a little cooler, you just put a definite article in front of it. So in the original, the robot is called Maximilian, like it's a name. And in the remake, it was going to be called The Maximilian.
Oh, that's a cool tip. I'm going to write that down. I should just have screenwriters and directors on all the time, Adam, so I can just steal all their tips and tricks. This is maybe the new point of the show. Colin, and to you, what's it like working with Emily?
It's like working with a very highly educated child, like one of those kids who went to Harvard but never stopped playing.
Ryan Miller from Guster is going to move himself into position over in Adam's band. Adam's going to be ejected from his band area. We're going to bring in a proper musician, someone who actually knows how to use those instruments is going to come in.
I more than support this.
Yeah, I think we all do.
This idea that it's like this one big project that's going to be your big break is probably not the idea. It's going to be the sum of things that you've done. It's going to be, each individual project has just a small chance of being this super important thing. So think about a workflow where you can maximize the swings that you can take. If you can figure out how to spend a small amount of time on 5 projects, that might be better spent than spending all of that time on a single project.
We were very lucky to get just an incredibly talented artist by the name of Ryan Miller. You heard just a moment ago just how eager he is to perform. He can't wait to get started. We're gonna go to him right now, singing not just an original song, performing a brand new song he literally just wrote this week for the very first time, premiering it for the very first time on Animal Talking. Please welcome and take it away, Ryan Miller.
Black balloon, you fill the center of this room, up to no good. But I'm not frightened out of you, you black balloon. My
on the couch correctly. We're getting you all into position right now. There we go. We can do it.
Stonery.
There we go. You can do it, Ryan. You can do it. You performed that live, right? That wasn't a pre-recorded track. You performed that live from your home studio.
Yeah, remember when I was talking in the middle of Emily's clip? Remember me playing? That was me. You're a great interviewer. This is great. And Emily, we had met only once before, but and hearing Colin, but I know Colin pretty well, but you're right though. Taking yourself out of the camera and just putting yourself into a microphone, I think amps up the vulnerability of this whole thing.
By the way, I do need to compliment my wife and executive producer. I don't know if you can see it right now, Ryan, but I thought she did an incredible job on your avatar. Not only did she capture your likeness, but just so you're aware the amount of effort she put into this, she went and built and created a custom t-shirt design for you based on the cover of one of your Guster's early albums.
Yeah, that's some iconic OG Guster stuff right there. I was on the iPad and I have 2 kids, an 11-year-old daughter and a 9-year-old son, and I went and pulled up KK Slider, and within a microsecond, both of my kids came over are you listening to KK? Are you listening to KK Slider? I was like, wait, you guys know about this? And we don't have a Switch. Like, and they barely. And so I was like, they're like, oh yeah, KK Slider's amazing. He's awesome.
He's
like,
incredible.
Why do we ever need the world to open up again?
I'm fine staying here, Ryan. I don't. I say all the time. I'm here because it's better than the real world outside.
Knowing
I think
you
so.
not even a week long, I'm like, oh yeah, this is where you belong. This is the movie that Emily and Colin might need to write next.
We might. Animal Talking, the movie. Every now and again, I drop Adam a text saying, such and such a name is coming on the show, and Adam's like, I just don't believe. He literally does not believe me. And Colin Trevorrow, thank you so much for making this possible, because the whole reason we discovered Ryan is you said, hey, if I'm coming on the show, if you want a musical guest, I should hook you up with my friend Ryan, and look how well it's turned out.
It's true. And my question was, how stoned can you make his avatar look? And you deliver.
The answer appears to be very stoned, indeed.
I am not high right now, either in my future world or my current world. So it's out on like Bandcamp today, and there's 11 songs. I'm
gonna show it off right now. Here it is. It's called Omegar, Guster with the Omaha Symphony. Digital album out now on Bandcamp and GusterMerch.com. I've had major, like Super Bowl advertiser level corporate sponsors, no word of a lie, come to me and say, we want to give you money and put our products on this show. And I've told them all that I don't want your money. I'm keeping it real. We're going to keep our artistic integrity. We're going to keep our artistic truth. However, there is one exception that I'll make, and that is for chicken and a biscuit. I just love those crackers, those savory chicken-flavored crackers. I got to apologize to Colin, or at least his avatar, for putting him on. I realize now when he's sitting on it, looks like a kind of a kiddie's high chair.
It does look like a kid's seat.
It's actually called writer's chair. Oh, you know what? I'm such an idiot. I had the director's chair. Look, I have the director's chair right here.
Yes.
Colin could have been sitting in a proper director's chair, and I put him in a children's high chair. You would rather have that than Adam? Get out of my get! I'm serious. Get out of my seat.
If you should ever leave me, well, life would sure go on. Believe me, the world would show. Shit!
You did it. You know what? You did more than enough. You did more than enough. Speaking of amazing guests, I want to extend my genuine thanks to Colin Trevorrow, to Emily Carmichael, and to Ryan Miller, and of course Adam Nickerson and Leah Widow, without whom this show would not exist. Thank you so much for being here on the show.